The great chamber of the Galactic Council was filled with light and voices. Leaders of many powerful alien empires sat on high seats made of crystal and steel. Their eyes glowed with different colors. Their skins were of many strange forms, but their voices carried the same tone of pride. On this day, their focus was not on war or trade, but on one small world spinning around a yellow sun. That world was Earth. The Council was called to speak about humanity. Some members found the subject laughable. To them, humans were nothing more than children playing with fire. Their ships were young, their colonies small, and their technology only beginning to rise. An alien leader with scales that shined like silver stood up. His voice echoed across the chamber. Humans call themselves explorers. They speak as if they belong among the stars. But they are young. Too young. A child race. Their weapons are weak. Their fleets are small. They should stay silent in their cradle. The chamber filled with laughter. Many alien leaders nodded. Some even tapped their claws on the floor, mocking Earth with open joy. To them, humanity was just another fragile species that would soon burn out or fall under alien control. But not all voices were mocking. A few sat in silence, watching carefully. They remembered history. Every great empire once began as small and weak. Yet the loudest voices always drowned the wise ones. And the loudest voice today belonged to Lord Koresh, commander of the Varen Dominion. Lord Koresh leaned forward, his eyes glowing red. We have seen their broadcasts. We have heard their diplomats. Humans pretend to speak as equals. They send messages of peace, but also of ambition. They will not remain still. They are too restless, too bold, and bold children are dangerous. The Council should remind them of their place before they grow wild. His words were sharp, cutting through the air like a blade. The Council chamber grew darker as many agreed. The aliens laughed again, some showing their teeth, some clicking their mandibles. They mocked humans as if Earth was a circus for their amusement. In the far corner of the chamber, a screen glowed. It showed images of Earth cities, lights shining at night, towers rising higher each year, ships leaving the planet for space. To the humans watching secretly through hidden channels, these images were signs of hope. But to the Council, they were only signs of arrogance. One alien with a tall, thin frame raised his long arms. Look at them. They still breathe air too thick for most of us. They still eat plants and animals like savages. They still fight each other on their own world. And yet they dare to dream of stars. Their dreams are foolish. They will break, the words echoed. Mockery spread like fire. The Council chamber filled with voices that carried no respect, only pride and scorn. Far away, on Earth itself, leaders sat in silent rooms watching the broadcast through hidden intelligence lines. They heard every insult. They saw every sneer. Their hands tightened into fists, but they did not speak. Not yet. Humanity had learned something that the Alien Council had not. Silence could be more dangerous than words. The meeting of the Council ended with laughter and pride. Lord Koresh made the final statement. Let humanity grow a little more. Then when they try to rise, we will crush them like insects. It will remind all young races of their place. The chamber lights dimmed. The aliens left one by one, confident that humanity could never touch them. They believed humans were only children standing in the shadow of giants. But deep beneath Earth's oceans, in hidden bases carved into the stone, something stirred. Engineers and scientists moved in silence. They worked on a project known to only a few. It was a starship larger and more advanced than anything the aliens had seen. Its engines hummed with a power not of alien design but of human imagination. It was built not to impress. It was built not to parade. It was built for one purpose alone: to answer the laughter of the galaxy with a voice of fire. As the chamber of the Council emptied, as the voices of mockery still echoed in the air, humanity remained silent. But silence was not weakness. Silence was patience, and patience was about to end. The wrath of Terra waited, hidden in shadows, and soon the galaxy would understand that mocking humanity was the last mistake they would ever make. The stars burned bright above Earth's orbit. Ships moved like small sparks against the black sky. Most were trade vessels carrying supplies between colonies on Mars and the orbital stations. For a time, space seemed peaceful. But peace was fragile, and peace never lasted when arrogance walked among the stars. The first sign came when long-range sensors detected movement. Dozens of unknown ships appeared at the edge of Earth's system. Their engines glowed with colors humanity had never seen before. Their hulls stretched like living beasts covered with plates of silver and bone. The Veyran Dominion had arrived. At first, Earth's command centers believed it was just a patrol. But as the minutes passed, more ships entered. A fleet of war cruisers surrounded Earth's colonies with quiet precision. Panic began to spread among the civilians on Mars and the outer stations. Families called home, fearing war. Commanders sent urgent reports to Earth's leaders. In orbit, the alien flagship opened its comms, its screens lit with the face of Lord Koresh himself, his silver scales shining under the dark red glow of his throne room. His eyes burned like embers. His voice shook the channels. "Humans," he said, stretching the word as if it were poison on his tongue. "You live in a fragile cradle. You build your toys and believe you are strong. But you are not strong. You are still young. You are still children. And children should not pretend to sit among warriors." The message was broadcast across every human colony. Billions heard his words. In the streets of Earth, on the dust fields of Mars, in the frozen domes of Europa, people stopped and listened. The voice of mockery carried through space, heavy and cruel. Earth's diplomats answered with calm tones. A middle-aged woman stood before the cameras of the United Earth Council. Her voice was steady, her eyes unbroken. "We seek peace," she said. "We respect every species of this galaxy, and we only ask the same respect in return. Humanity has never declared war. Humanity has only defended its survival." But Lord Koresh only laughed. His voice echoed cruel and sharp. "You defend because you cannot attack. You beg for respect because you cannot command it. Your words are weak, your ship's weaker. Peace belongs only to the strong." He raised his hand and the fleet moved. In an instant, one of Earth's satellites exploded into dust. Another followed, then another. The sky around Mars was filled with sparks as the Veyran ships fired small bursts of energy. They destroyed communication relays, civilian outposts, and observation drones. Nothing of real military value, but enough to humiliate. Across human space, silence filled the air. Mothers held their children close. Soldiers clenched their fists. Engineers stared at screens, helpless to stop the destruction. The aliens were not fighting a war. They were mocking. Every shot was laughter turned into fire. Inside Earth's main command bunker, hidden under miles of rock, leaders gathered in a room that glowed with blue lights. Generals, scientists, and political heads sat around a long table. None spoke loudly. They listened as the alien message repeated again and again. Lord Koresh's words struck like whips. "You are children. You are insects. You should kneel before the Council of the Galaxy. If you rise too high, we will crush you. If you shout too loud, we will silence you. Remember your place." The leaders looked at each other. Some felt anger burn in their chest. Others felt fear. But above all, they felt resolve. Humanity had been insulted in front of the galaxy. The question was no longer if they should answer. The question was how. In the back of the room, an old general stood. His hair was white, his voice rough. He had fought wars on Earth before humanity had even reached the stars. Slowly, he placed his hand on the table. "They believe we are weak," he said. "They believe we are children. But they do not know what we have built in silence. They do not know what waits beneath our oceans. They do not know what patience has given us." The room grew colder. Every eye turned to him. He looked at the Supreme Commander, a woman whose eyes had not left the screen of Lord Koresh. The commander's voice was calm, but her words carried steel. "It is time," she said. Far away, in the depths of the Pacific Ocean, a massive chamber shook. Water boiled as hidden doors opened. From beneath the waves, a shadow began to rise. It was not just a ship. It was a giant. Engines powered by forces unknown lit the dark. A vessel longer than a city, armored in black steel and glowing with blue fire, broke through the surface of the sea. Waves crashed around it as if the ocean itself feared its birth. Its name was written in bold letters across its hull, Wrath of Terra. In the sky above, the alien fleet continued to laugh. Lord Koresh leaned back in his throne, his teeth sharp with victory. He did not know that his laughter was about to die, because humanity had finally chosen to answer. Waves broke violently across the Pacific as the great shadow continued to rise. For centuries, the ocean had hidden secrets, but never had it released something so vast. The Wrath of Terra climbed out of the depths like a creature from a forgotten age. Its armor dripped water that turned to mist. Its engines pulsed with light that cut through the stormy sky. From orbit, Alien scanners struggled to make sense of the readings. The ship did not match any known class. Its size stretched beyond predictions. Its energy output broke every chart. The alien crews stared at their displays, their voices shaking. "This is not possible," one officer whispered. "How can a young race build something like this?" On the flagship, Lord Koresh rose from his throne. His red eyes narrowed. At first he thought it was a bluff, some crude human trick. But as the ship's outline sharpened on his screen, his jaw tightened. This was no trick. This was power. The Wrath of Terra's hull glowed with markings written in bold human script. Its surface carried weapons that had no comparison in alien fleets. Massive cannons rested like sleeping giants. Turrets turned slowly, locking into position. Energy lines pulsed blue across its frame. Each pulse was steady, calm, alive. Inside the ship, the crew worked in silence. Men and women sat at consoles, their faces hard and focused. They were young, yet their eyes held the weight of centuries of human struggle. They knew what this ship meant. It was not just metal. It was not just power. It was every insult, every laugh, every scar carved into humanity turned into steel. The captain stood on the command bridge, his uniform dark and unmarked by rank. He did not need rank. His voice alone carried authority. He looked at the holographic projection of the alien fleet, then turned to his crew. "They think we are children," he said softly. "Let us show them how children grow." The words spread across the ship like fire. Engineers tightened their hands on controls. Pilots locked weapons into place. In the engine room, the drive hummed with rising force. The Wrath of Terra was awake. In orbit, the alien fleet shifted uneasily. Cruisers moved closer, their weapons glowing. Yet their captains hesitated. Fear touched their hearts, though they would never admit it. Their pride battled with instinct. Instinct told them this was no ordinary ship. Instinct whispered that they had awakened something dangerous. Lord Koresh broke the silence. His voice roared across the comms, reaching both humans and aliens. "Do you believe this one ship can save you? Do you think metal and fire will make you strong? You are still children, and children holding weapons are only more foolish." The words were sharp, but they carried something else now. Doubt. His officers heard it. His enemies heard it. Even his own crew shifted nervously. Back on Earth, billions watched the live broadcast. Families huddled together in cities. Farmers paused their work in the fields. Miners on Mars stopped their drills. All eyes lifted to the screens as the Wrath of Terra rose higher into the sky. The ship's shadow stretched across the ocean, covering whole islands beneath its wings. For the first time in history, humanity felt united. Borders, nations, old conflicts, all of it disappeared in the face of what they saw. They were no longer small. They were no longer helpless. They were one. The Wrath of Terra climbed out of the atmosphere, leaving trails of fire as its engines cut through the sky. It moved with speed no alien expected, a giant rising with the grace of a blade. Alien ships shifted into formation, preparing to strike. Their weapons flared, aiming at the newborn Titan, but the human ship did not fire, not yet. Its silence was louder than any roar. On the command bridge, the captain watched calmly. He raised his hand and gave a single order. "Activate shields." Light burst across the Wrath of Terra's hull. A blue sphere unfolded, wrapping the ship in an energy field unlike anything seen before. Alien sensors screamed. The shield's power reading was beyond their knowledge. Some officers shouted that their weapons would not break it. Others begged their commanders to retreat. Lord Koresh's voice cut through their panic. "Hold your ground. They cannot defeat us. Fire on my mark." The alien fleet trembled but obeyed. Dozens of ships aimed their cannons. The space above Earth filled with the glow of charged weapons. On Earth, hearts stopped. The world seemed to hold its breath. Billions watched, waiting for the first strike. Children clung to parents. Soldiers gripped their rifles. Leaders whispered silent prayers. The Wrath of Terra remained calm. Inside the bridge, silence filled the air. The crew stared at their captain, waiting. Finally, he spoke. "They mocked us," he said. "They called us children. Now let us answer." He lowered his hand. Across the ship, weapons came alive. Cannons glowed white-hot. Energy pulsed through railguns the size of towers. The Wrath of Terra's engines roared, shaking the sky. And in that moment, every alien realized their mistake. The humans had been silent not because they were weak, but because they were waiting. Waiting for this moment. The Wrath of Terra was no longer hidden. Its awakening had begun. The silence before battle was the kind that made the stars themselves seem to hold their breath. The alien fleet, dozens of war cruisers and destroyers, floated in formation around Earth. Their weapons glowed with energy, charged and ready to strike. And in the center of it all, rising from the planet's shadow, stood the wrath of Terra. It was no longer hidden, no longer silent. The giant ship stretched across the heavens, its cannons burning with white light, its shields pulsing with a rhythm like the heartbeat of a world. To the aliens, it looked less like a ship and more like a weapon born from fury itself. Lord Koresh gave the command. His voice thundered through the fleet's comms. Fire! In an instant, space exploded with light. Dozens of alien ships released their first volley. Beams of plasma, shards of dark energy, and missiles built from alien science streaked toward the wrath of Terra. The sky burned as every weapon slammed into the human ship. But the wrath of Terra did not break. Its shield absorbed the storm. Flashes of blue energy rippled across its surface, bending the power, swallowing it whole. From Earth, it looked as if the giant ship was standing inside a sun, but when the fire faded, it was untouched. Gasps echoed across alien command decks. Officers shouted in disbelief. Our weapons, they do nothing. Inside the wrath of Terra's bridge, the captain stood calm, his eyes steady. He gave a single order, and his voice was soft, but every crew member heard it clear. Return fire, the first human cannon spoke. A single blast of energy, focused and sharp, ripped through the void. It struck an alien cruiser head-on. For a heartbeat, the ship glowed like a star. Then it was gone. Nothing left but fragments drifting in silence. Alien crews froze. They had seen ships destroyed before, but never like this. Their strongest cruisers, built over centuries, wiped out by one shot. The wrath of Terra did not stop. Its railguns fired next. Metal slugs the size of buildings flew faster than light itself, tearing through alien armor as if it were paper. One by one, enemy ships fell. Explosions painted the black of space with fire. On the flagship, Lord Koresh gripped his throne, his silver scales trembling. His officers begged for orders. Some screamed for retreat. But his pride refused. Press the attack! Overwhelm them! The alien fleet surged forward, but the more they fought, the clearer it became. They were outmatched. Their missiles turned to dust against the human shields. Their beams broke apart in the blue light. And every strike from the wrath of Terra answered with death. Earth watched in awe. Billions of humans saw the impossible happen before their eyes. For generations, they had been told they were weak, mocked as children of the stars. But now the galaxy was seeing a different truth. Humanity was no longer begging for a place. They were carving it with fire. On the bridge, the crew worked without fear. Engineers guided the energy flow. Pilots aimed the weapons. Every man and woman carried the same thought in their hearts. This was not just battle. This was justice. Alien ships began to scatter. Formations broke. Some captains disobeyed Koresh and fled, their engines burning as they tried to escape the human wrath. But the wrath of Terra was faster. Its engines flared, and it moved like a predator among prey. Railguns cut down fleeing ships. Energy cannons ripped apart the proudest vessels of the Dominion. The galaxy watched through open channels. Every empire, every species, every ruler who had mocked humanity saw the truth on their screens. The young race had unleashed power that rivaled the greatest fleets. And worse, they had done it in silence, hidden from the galaxy's eyes until the perfect moment. Lord Koresh felt fear for the first time. His voice shook as he shouted, "All ships defend the flagship! We must destroy it!" But even as he spoke, the wrath of Terra turned its cannons toward him. The alien officers screamed, sensors flooding with impossible readings. The ship's energy built to a level no one had ever recorded. The captain of the wrath of Terra gave the final order. His words were simple. End it. The main cannon fired. A beam of pure white light cut across the void, so bright it blinded every sensor. It struck the Dominion flagship in the heart. The mighty vessel, feared across the galaxy, cracked apart like glass. Its body shattered, its fire faded, and Lord Koresh's voice was silenced forever. When the light dimmed, only wreckage remained. Silence returned to the battlefield. The wrath of Terra stood alone among the ruins of the Dominion fleet. On Earth, cheers erupted. People cried, shouted, and fell to their knees. The planet that had once been mocked as young had just destroyed an empire's pride. But on the bridge of the wrath of Terra, the captain did not smile. His face was calm, his voice steady. "Send the message," he said. A signal pulsed across the stars. To every empire, every ruler, every council that had mocked them, the humans spoke with one voice. We were silent not because we were weak. We were silent because we were patient. Never mistake patience for weakness again. The galaxy trembled, and for the first time every alien empire began to fear humanity. The battlefield was quiet. Wreckage drifted across the void, glowing with fading fire. Pieces of the Veyron fleet tumbled endlessly, silent reminders of pride broken. Where once dozens of ships had mocked Earth, now only fragments remained scattered like dust among the stars. And in the middle of it all, still burning with blue light, stood the wrath of Terra. On Earth the news spread faster than light. Every screen on every colony lit with the same image, the giant human warship standing tall against the ruined alien fleet. In cities across the world, people cheered in the streets. Farmers dropped their tools and shouted into the sky. Children who had once feared alien power pointed at the screens with pride. For centuries, humanity had been divided by nations, by borders, by wars of its own making. But in that single moment, all of Earth felt the same heartbeat. They were one people, and that unity burned brighter than any cannon. Inside the Galactic Council, chaos followed. Reports flooded in. Every empire received the same shocking truth. The Dominion's fleet had been destroyed in minutes. The proud flagship of Lord Koresh was gone, shattered by a single blast. Alien leaders who had once laughed now sat in silence. Their claws, tentacles, and hands trembled as they replayed the footage. They said humans were young, whispered one council member, her golden eyes wide. But young does not mean weak. Another slammed his fist on the table, fear dripping from his voice. They hid this from us. They built a weapon in silence. What else are they hiding? How far will they go? The council chamber filled with arguments, but beneath the noise lay one truth none could deny. Humanity was no longer a child of the stars. Humanity had stepped into power, and the galaxy would never forget it. On the Wrath of Terra's bridge, silence held the crew. They had seen the destruction they caused, the fire they unleashed. Some faces were hard with pride. Others looked haunted. The captain stood at the center, his eyes fixed on the drifting wreckage. He knew the galaxy was watching. "Open the channel," he said. Across every frequency, through every comm, through every empire's network, the human voice spoke. It was calm but heavy with meaning. Humanity was mocked as young. We were called children. We were told we had no place among the stars. Tonight you saw our answer. We do not seek war. We do not seek conquest. But we will not kneel. We will not be silenced. And we will not forget. The words spread like fire. Every colony, every empire, every ruler heard them. Some shivered with fear. Others bowed their heads in respect. A few whispered that humanity might become the next great empire of the galaxy. The captain lowered his hand and the message ended. The Wrath of Terra powered down its cannons, its shields fading into silence. The battle was over. But the war of perception had just begun. Far across the galaxy, in hidden halls, alien leaders gathered. Some plotted revenge, swearing humanity would one day pay for this humiliation. Others urged caution, warning that attacking humanity again might lead to their own ruin. And a few, the wisest among them, whispered a different truth. Perhaps it was better to make the humans allies before they became masters. On Earth, leaders met as well. The victory was great, but they knew the danger it brought. The galaxy now feared them, but fear could easily turn into hate. They would need wisdom to survive this new age. The Wrath of Terra had bought them respect, but it had also painted a target on humanity's back. Yet for the people of Earth, none of that mattered in the moment. They had seen the impossible. They had seen their world rise from mockery to greatness in a single night. Parents held their children with new hope. Soldiers who once felt small now stood tall. Humanity's spirit burned brighter than ever before. In the quiet of the command bridge, the captain looked once more at the stars. He knew the galaxy had changed. He knew enemies would come. But he also knew that humanity had shown its true nature. Not fragile, not weak, not children, human. And in the endless dark of the universe, that word would never again be spoken with laughter. The Wrath of Terra turned slowly, its engines glowing. With steady grace, it began its journey back toward Earth. Wreckage floated in its wake, silent witnesses to a truth the galaxy would never forget. From this day forward, whenever the Council spoke of Earth, Their voices would no longer carry scorn. They would carry caution. They would carry respect. And sometimes they would carry fear, because humanity had sent its message to the stars, and the stars had listened.